the motivation of joining politics is also to walk the talk. Sometimes it's not really about power. It's you having the opportunity to contribute your quota to a new Nigeria or one. If you've studied in Germany, the world is yours. As a matter of fact, if you study in Germany or you do an Ausbildung in Germany, you are highly rated outside Germany because they value German education, they value German Ausbildung. So if you don't fit in Germany, move on to other countries, go to US, go to UK, with your education or your qualification, you take that opportunity.
The investing back home, which step should we take and why should we even invest back home? And if we should invest, what should we invest in?
It is more secure than most businesses. It is less volatile, and then the return on investment, the ROI, is very, very high.
Hi guys, welcome back to another special episode of The Lab. I'm your host, Success, Nigerian by birth, German by registration. And thank you for tuning in today. On our today's episode, we have the honor to speak to someone very inspiring, someone I find his story very interesting as well. A transformational, a visionary, a community builder, a champion for African in the diaspora. Please make welcome Dr. Kenneth Gbandi.
Thank you very much. It's great to be on your program.
Thank you. Okay. So, I wanted to start by, first of all, how did you end up in Europe?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Well, I finished from University of Calabar, where I did my first degree in geography and regional planning. I served in Auchi in Edo State, and then I had the privilege and opportunity also of winning a state award for outstanding service after my youth service, and then for every such award, you have an automatic employment.
Okay.
And so I got an automatic employment from the governor, then sole administrator of Edo State, and I got into a boys' model secondary school, Evonica, in Edo State. And so before this time, I was in Lagos, where I was staying with my immediate senior brother, and so I decided to visit Edo State. Coincidentally, as I was getting into Edo State, I had the announcement on TV that I've been, given a state award for outstanding service, and I've been deployed to Boys Model Secondary School, Bonica.
Okay.
So I drove straight to the school where I had my staff quarters and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I left Lagos for one or two reasons, personal.
Yeah.
And so when my immediate brother, who was then a HR manager in Shell Nigeria Limited, came to see me in the Boys Model Secondary School. And then don't forget, in the 92, 93s, teachers were being on salaries, sometimes 3-4 months salary, return payment. And so I normally, had to rely on my senior brothers, to sort myself a little bit. And so when he came around one of these days, he just said, "Hey, you don't tell me this what you want to do for the rest of your life, getting stuck here, as a teacher in Boys Model Secondary School. Why don't you, think about studying abroad, extending your knowledge and the rest of them." So that's how I actually decided to, to step out of the country. And then Greece was my first port of call. I had a class near brother there who is a medical doctor, and the wife is a professor of law at the university, and wanted me actually to, kind of join them in Greece, and have a little bit of family there. And
Yeah.
what it turned out not to be my take. So Germany became a next destination because both my brother and the wife studied in Germany, and so they had said a lot of good things about Germany, especially when it comes to constructions and engineering, which is actually my little bit area of specialization. And then, of course, I had a couple of friends who had actually traveled to Germany. So in combination of both, I said, okay, let me try Germany. And since then, I think I found it a very interesting place, and I decided to settle here since then.
Okay. So study brought you to Europe. Remember, be that So when you got to Germany, so after Greece and everything, you then chose Germany. So when you got to Germany, what course did you study? Did you still stay in engineering, or what was the course?
Yes,
And then which university?
at first, getting to Germany, you have to study the language,
Yes.
which is a requirement. And so, unlike these days, when masters is recognized, even when you study masters, when you have a master degree abroad, I masters then was well recognized in Germany, and so I had to, you know, practically get back to second year, or to repeat my 2 final years. So they call it 4 diploma. So I have to come down, to geography and regional planning, what I studied in Nigeria as a 4 diploma, and then I studied from as a 4 diploma. But of course, you have to do the language and the study together.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you just started from what's it called? Your university study and then getting a job in Benin and a recognition as well. So I read an article that described you as a showboy wonder kid.
You certainly did your homework very well.
So I want to know what was that?
Well, growing up in a little village, Akwibo, which is the capital of Oshimle, not local government area, um, I came from a very large family of 10. I am the last born of the family, the Benjamin of the family. And then, as a last, boy in the last born in the family of 10, you kind of been pampered,
Yes.
a lot. So I had a lot of time to play, in as much as I had a lot of other, great activities. At age 10, 12, I was already a manager for my mom, sewing business where I used to hawk clothes in the markets. In fact, not only in our village market, across the villages in my area, I used to go, and sell clothes and the rest of them, making money for my mom. But that also gave me a lot of opportunity to play. And so I had a lot of time, experimenting with things like radio, TV. And then I had a very successful musician from my village. It's called Tony Moka, Tony Moka, of course, and Moka of Yedenfal, and he used to be a musician. And so part of my, youthful playness, I used to mimic him, you know, assemble a band,
Yeah.
construct a local, radio sender, construct a local guitar.
Yeah.
And so I tried to play after him with my band and the rest of them. And so, it's kind of got a nickname that everybody in the village, know me as the showboy. So they call me showboy Chiwobu. So literally, it took my guidance as a young kid.
Interesting. Because I saw that I'm like, okay, what was that about? So thank you for um the explanation. Very interesting. So I want us to focus more on your journey in Germany. Because now you said you came to Germany, studied, did your 4 diploma because of the language, and back then the recognition was not as improved as of today. So I want you to take up, because I know you are into politics a bit. I know you are into community work as well. I know you are also into um building the African community in the diaspora. So I want you to take us to what was the leading point or the leading decision for you to say, okay, I want to venture into community work. I want to venture into um the African life in diaspora, and yeah, just take us through that process and how was the whole journey like?
Well, that's a very interesting one. And back days in Nigeria, my mother's senior brother, which is my uncle, married to a British, or yeah, a Scottish, so to say. And then she's about 99 years old now and still in Nigeria. And so we used to visit them a lot. You know, got used to, to so-called, if you like, Oyibos or the Europeans. And like I mentioned, my senior brother, also my second born in the family, Dr. Raymond Gbandi, is also married to a Greek and a professor for that matter. And so I'm used to, so say Europeans or European contact and the rest of them. And so, but my first shop when I got to Greece, for months, I realized I was the only black man in the streets for a couple of days, and all eyes, you can feel all eyes staring at you, very uncomfortable eyes. And then my fellow came, that could be something different. Then I got to Germany. Then, unlike what it is now, you stay in the train and probably people don't like to sit near you because of your color and the rest of them. And then at the university, you have some genuine curiosity, to know about Africa, if all the stories you're hearing in Africa is true, about the, living on the treetop and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And so I begin to, I said, hey, I mean, I've been close to, I've had a very, very good contact with Europeans, even right from Nigeria. And then I can't just understand that.
Oh.
And then I start wondering, some of this ignorance, as I might put it, is basically probably lack of information. And some of them racist in nature, no doubt about that. Or some of them genuinely are ignorant
Yeah.
about the situation in Africa. And so I began to think, how do we change this narrative? This danger of a single story. Back then at the University of Calabar, I was the director of editorial affairs of one of the most successful campus magazines. And so I began to imagine myself using the little skills I acquired at the university, to try to see if we can push up a different narrative, to avoid this danger of a single story. And that was how I came about to establish the African Heritage Magazine. The African Heritage Magazine is the first Black magazine in the history of Germany, where we tell the stories of Africans, just like what you're doing now. Give the opportunity to highlight about the success of our stories. The first European tour of Mama G, the popular Nollywood actress, and the first European tour of Genevieve, which are the icons of Nollywood, were basically coincide with the launch of our magazine. Then we also established Miss African Beauty Pageant, and so they were the part of the first set of Nollywood actress that they actually visited. Then I followed up with Pat Atta, Emeki K, and the rest of them. And I followed up.
Yeah.
The idea was basically to showcase that the Nigerian I know, the Nigerian, the Nollywood industry I know, that actually the pride of the continent. They should come and have a feel of. I mean, the Germans should have a feel of what we have in America.
Yeah.
And I believe that with decision, we'll be able to change the narrative. And I can't forget that sometimes when you have the magazine is actually an infotainment magazine. It's purely a mixture of information and entertainment.
Yeah.
And so we have, we feature parties in Nigeria, of course, high class society parties. And my German friends were asking me, why you pleasurizing? These pictures are not from Nigeria, they're probably from America or UK. And so I said, okay, welcome to my world, because this is actually Nigeria. And so it helped a lot and change some narrative. I can say, for instance, that along the line, people realize that the Berlin train station was actually built by an African. People begin to realize that one of the most respected, what we call the Kunsthaus in Germany, a Nigerian happens to be the curator. And so we share such stories, allowing our host country and to realize that Africans have something to offer.
Yeah.
That we're not all refugees, we're not all asylum seekers, but we have professionals who actually, and funny enough, I got call from even Bundesamt library, asking for them to stock African Heritage Magazine. I got a lot of recommendations and asking us how can they track this person and that person. So that was a great thing. I believe that was part of the pathfinders where the African community found themselves here today. But then I followed up with also the African Heritage TV, which is actually one of the longest running African program in German TV as of today. It runs in Tide TV. It's called Africa Outlook. Again, it's actually the format, the TV format of the magazine, where we also showcase, successful Africans and the rest of them. Um, Again, like I mentioned, beauty pageant, not just because we want for the sake of the entertainment, but we believe that we have a lot of young Africans who wants to go into modeling. Or they realize that the German definition of beauty is a blonde hair, blue eyes, white skin, which we believe, sorry, my apology, I believe an African woman is one of the most beautiful human beings on earth. And so I believe that we'll have the opportunity to showcase the talent of these young ladies. And I'm happy that, then after we had this Ilona, which is one of our first runners, one of our first runner up in our first edition, ended up becoming the 10th most beautiful girl because she went for the for Miss World. And we had one Evie, though not one of our candidates, but of course we believe that this program inspired them, and when she became the voice of Germany. And then lastly, the Eritrea, who became the German most beautiful girl from Eritrea and Africa. So I believe we are the pathfinders to these success stories for the African community. But like you said, getting into the African community proper, and we realize that it's good to have this beautiful magazine. It's good to have, this entertainment and the rest of them. But if you are not at the table where decisions are made, you were left aside.
Yeah.
And so that led me to begin to think beyond news and news creation and entertainment, to begin to go into politics and community organization. So I begin to wonder, how can the Africans, get a voice, in the community, in the government of the day. And that led me to contest for Hamburg Senate Integration Beirat, where I won, one of the two Africans to represent African community in the Hamburg Senate Integration Beirat, where we'll make a decision about things that has to do with integration for the African community. Then, of course, from there, I also extended back to becoming the one of the president of Nigerians in community, president of Nigerians in diaspora organization, NIDO Germany, of course, working in collaboration with the Nigerian community for 4 years, the first to have such a 2-term position. And eventually, I also got elected in Athens to become the president, the chairman of Nigerians in diaspora Europe, continental chairman for Nigerians in diaspora Europe. Of course, that gave me opportunity not only to organize the community, talk about the things that is important to the African community economically, socially, and otherwise, but also gave me the opportunity to meet Nigerian presidents. Basically, I've had the opportunity, privilege of meeting all the Nigerian president to them, including President Yar'Adua, President Obasanjo, President Jonathan, even President Buhari, who hosted him also in Berlin. Then I was still the continental chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe. And so we talked about things that happen, affects Nigeria, both towards direction of Nigerians, and also as things that also concerns us here. And that's how actually I landed, getting involved in the social, cultural, and political activities of Nigerians in diaspora. And since then, there's not been going back.
Wow, that was a lot of information. But then we can also see there is a bit of personal passion and there's a drive to it. The drive to tell story from Africa, from an African perspective, not from what the media carries or what people think about Africa. So I just want to ask generally, so you went into politics. Someone is watching and thinking, I want to make a change. I want to maybe venture into politics in Germany and things that concerns Germany, especially when it's like big moves, things like joining politics, starting a business, um, getting a house, just such big decisions. People are always, especially Africans, we're always like, oh, I don't want any problem. I don't want the German government on my case. So how is it getting into politics, or what are the steps to take to get into politics? Do I have to like study for it? Do I have to know somebody that knows somebody that I know somebody? How do I get into politics if I was to be interested in getting into politics today?
And you said it all. The first move is always the best move, which is to have an interest. And to be honest with you, it is very, very easy to join politics in Germany. I'll give you a very good example. I'm a member of the XPD for basically about 15 years now. my district is the Bambek.
Okay.
And in the Bambek district, we have less than 30 active members. That makes the decision on who send the delegate from the Bambek district to either the communal election or to the Bürgerschaft and the rest of them. And so you can imagine if we have 20 Africans deciding to join the party at the Bambek district. So 20 out of 30, active 30 members.
Yeah.
And that active members, not all of them are actually very, very active. So probably we even have the 20 Africans being in the majority to make a decision on who represents them. So all we need is interest.
Yeah.
Have interest and have the time to commit and so from there you move on. I remember that when we all started this journey, my humble self, including Clemore, Kuste, including Irene Appiah, Adeyemi, Yemi, and most of us, had an interest in politics. I'm happy that today Irene Appiah is in humble parliament, and so first is to have an interest, but also secondly is to also be consistent, to have a zeal and the drive, to get into that. So I think it's the willingness to make a change, is the drive to make a change, and to do something different, and not really cry about injustice in the society, not only to cry about discrimination. Yes, there are injustices in society. Yes, there's discrimination in society. But like in every society, whether it's Germany, Nigeria, America, there's always discrimination. What's important is for you to make your mark and stand out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So, another question before we continue: is there like a platform for Nigerians in Germany, or like I don't know, WhatsApp group, community group, where someone that is just coming from Nigeria will be like, okay, I need because you see Nigerian in Germany, like over 20 Instagram pages and stuff. But is there like an official Nigerian in Germany platform?
Well, welcome to Nigeria. Nigeria is a very diverse society with a population of 250 million or even more. You expect that also to reflect in the diaspora. We have, like you rightly mentioned, we have a lot of pages, Instagram pages, WhatsApp pages, and the rest of them. Officially, Nigerians in Diaspora Organization (NIDO) is the official organization recognized by the federal government of Nigeria under the Midcom Act that singles them out to speak on behalf of Nigerians throughout the whole world. And so, which means they have also platforms, whether it's Instagram, whether it's a WhatsApp, where they speak on behalf of Nigerians. And so anybody that's is interested, actually professionals. But I remember that when I was the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Germany, we realized that Germany, for instance, you don't have to go through the route of academics to be a professional. You can go through the route of academics, you can go through the route of Osbedo. And so for us, anybody who can add value, who is good in what they are doing, is a professional in my own view. And so we open up that so that they will have a lot of Nigerians who actually are not graduates, but they are professional in their own field, and they can also be able to join. That is the official platform for Nigerians, and they can also help from exactly all the things you mentioned. How do you settle down? How do you get to work? And the rest of them, they can also assist in that. Then, of course, we have the Nigerian community, which is basically a socio-cultural group where they focus more on social and cultural issues. The quality of such discussion is left for individual to to judge and decide. But they exist. Then, of course, like you said, they have the Nigerian Students Associations network. We have the Nigerian Women and the so they have a variety of platforms which somebody can decide to engage if they really want to do that. So yes, we have these platforms. One just need to try that out and see exactly which one they think is providing necessary information.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you very much for that. So, now I want to talk about the struggles many Africans face in the diaspora. So, um, we as Africans, or many Africans, I'll put it that way, face a bit of, I would say in Germany, a bit of there's too much rules and regulations to follow, because these are things we don't have back home. There's too much rules and regulations to follow. There is too much Papierarbeit. There is too much, let's say, racism, even though I think it's relative, because personally, I would say I'm one of the fortunate people that have not experienced racism in Germany. If they have experienced racism, it's probably from a classmate back in secondary school that will call me the M word or something. So that for me is, yeah, you don't know better. Let me put it that way. So I want to talk about the breaking point of diasporans or of Africans in diaspora to succeed. So there is a video that I want us to look at. We'll just, I can pass it like this.
My brothers and sisters who are living in Africa who are thinking of traveling and coming to paradise in Europe. It's for so long time that we don't tell you these stories, and I'm very sure many of you don't know. The only thing we do when we go to Africa, we go with small cars, we're driving around, we don't tell you the truth. Let me tell you the honest truth, right? I live in Sweden. I've been living here for 15 years, right? I have this experience. This is not a place for educated Africans. Europe is a place for Africans who are not educated. When you are educated, they push you away. When you are not educated, that is where they drag you because they want to use you. I will tell you, I live here, as I said before, I live here for 15 years. I will tell you I'm a very educated guy, right? I came to Sweden, right? I went back to the university at the age of 42, right? Right now, I have 2 bachelors and 2 masters, and from very renowned universities. 1 bachelor from London University in International Development, another one in Political Science from Stockholm University, then a master's in Communication for Development from Malmö University, then a master's in Political Science from Southampton University.
So, I mean, you see videos like this online that people actually genuinely believe it is not possible to succeed as an African in Europe. What do you say to that?
I sympathize with I won't call him the young man, and with so much qualification, and probably having some issues with the society. I think even in Nigeria or even with the Germans, there's also the danger of overqualification, where when you qualify too much, you find it very difficult to get a suitable job because they have to pay you based on your qualifications, and so sometimes they are scared to employ you. Germany is a very bureaucratic country. There's no two ways about it, and that's why they are structured. We ask ourselves so many questions. Germany is one of the smallest country in the world compared to other giant nations. Germany is a country that has survived 2 world wars, and Germany is also one of the best economy in the world as of today. Something makes them to be successful. Hard work, organization. So you can't take it away from there. That is how their society is built. And so you can't take them away from, what makes them to succeed.
Yeah.
And because of that, in most European countries, just like Germany, language plays a role. And so one needs to be, proficient in the language to be able to, mix up with the, level of, I would say, is it job seeking or whatever one needs to classify that. You've just mentioned taking yourself as an example that you've been very lucky. You've not experienced racist experience here in Germany. I've been in Germany. The young man has been in Sweden for 15 years. I've been in Germany for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I also have not experienced any serious, racism, so to say. Of course, what I believe, exists is structural racism, which means the system is so, organized that if you do not have a certain things or do not, behave in a certain manner, you find it very difficult, to have such difficulties. Which actually, to be honest with you, I've been in integration barrier from Hamburg in it. We've dealt with the issue of migration, the issue of integration. And I can tell you that most of those, problems for Germans who are also not educated, they also face the same bureaucratic bottleneck, getting a house, getting a job, and the rest of them. So it's not only specifically, of course, like I said, when you add the issue of language and other things to the African situation, they make it makes it worse. But then it's there for everybody. What I do know, I mean, as an African, a Nigerian, to be elected, not appointed, elected into the Hamburg Senate Integration Beirat, and I think I've actually done so many things, in Germany, acting as consultant to the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs, having a project with the Center for International Migration, working on the recognition of forest certificates in Germany in collaboration with the state Hamburg, the Arbeitsamt, and the job center. I can't claim. I mean, for an African, for a black man, I've knocked on those. I've not seen any that I've not knocked on. That I could not say it's racism. The immediate past Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, used to be the governor of Hamburg when we were in integration by rat. In Berlin, when they had a Hamburg Day in Berlin, I used to be invited. I used to mix up with them. We talked about issues that matters to the German nation and also African culture. So I wouldn't classify myself as, what is important is that, again, like I said at the beginning, one needs to be determined, one needs to be consistent. Is it difficult here? Absolutely. Is it easier like in the UK, in US? Maybe because of the language, problem. Maybe because of the fact that we have a lot of blacks in UK, in US, it's easier, to fit in. It's easier to overlook certain things. And in Germany, it's a little bit more structured, more limited. Am I saying that there's no racism in Germany? That's not what I'm saying, not at all. There are, but like I said, just like there's every other place in the world. But saying that, by the way, if you've studied in Germany and have your best of education, the world is yours. So if you don't fit in Germany, move on to other countries, go to US, go to UK, with your education or your qualification. As a matter of fact, if you study in Germany or you do an Ausbildung in Germany, you are highly rated outside Germany because they value German education, they value German Ausbildung. So you take that opportunity. And I still think, whether you want to seek greener pastures anywhere in the world is your decision. And then you need to also ask questions. You need to find out exactly what's the lifestyle here, and see exactly if those lifestyle passed, into your lifestyle, and then you make a decision for that, and then believe that it's going to work out for you. Difficult, yes. Racism, like if you live in a country, yes. But decision whether you want to succeed is entirely yours.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not impossible.
Absolutely.
So in conclusion of what you explain is, it's not impossible. Depends on your mindset. Depends on if you're not succeeding in a particular country, be ready to move. Don't settle for less. But at the same time, you have to also position yourself in a strategic way that you fit into the system, because the system is already there. They are not going to now dismantle it just to fit your expectation. I mean, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to quickly go into Nigeria again, because I know at some point, or you're still, correct me if I'm wrong, into Nigerian politics, and then also you are also pro invest back home. So I want us to also talk about that. What led to going to Nigerian politics, and the investing back home. Which steps should we take, and why should we even invest back home? And if we should invest, what should we invest in?
That's a $1 million question. And then, of course, while I was the chairman of Nigerians in the Diaspora Organization, Europe, representing the interests of around 6 million Nigerians, and also was a time also the coordinating chair of Nigerians worldwide.
Yeah.
We call it NIDO worldwide, representing the interest of our 20 million Nigerians. Like all the problems you just mentioned, I do agree. Like I said that Germany, I think you summarized it briefly, is made for Germans. Whether you are naturalized German or geborene German, so to say, it's meant for German. And so you don't expect them to structure the society to suit you. You have to structure yourself to sit into the situation. And so we also believe, or I personally believe, that the journey is as beautiful as it is today because some people made it so. And I mentioned before that this is a country I have experienced 2 world wars, and yet this is one of the countries that is still one of the best economy in the world. And so if we put our heads together, we can also make Nigeria great. As also chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora organization, I could confirm that Nigerians in diaspora are actually keeping the country alive economically. Give example that between 2016, 17, 18, Nigeria in diaspora remitted about $32 billion US, which is more than the GDP of Nigeria, and more than also all the economic packages Nigerians are getting, to sustain the economy. And so some experts concluded that without Nigerians in diaspora, Nigeria would have gone bankruptcy, which is a statement of fact. And now you ask yourself, if this is true, which it is, there are some countries in Africa that are allowed to vote even when they're in diaspora. And how come Nigeria, the giant of Africa, is still struggling to allow a group of people, that are sending money home, that are keeping the economy alive? Why can't they have a say on who governs them? And apart from even the financial aspect of that, the human capital. Most Nigerians in diaspora, including yourself, probably have studied in this country. For you to work in a German company, in a certain level, means that you're actually simply one of the best. And so if you could do it here in Germany, you can as well do it in Nigeria, which means the human capital aspect of it is also enormous. And we think that Nigerians in diaspora should be given opportunity to participate in the affairs of the country, both economically as well as also politically. And so I called myself and my executive. We had some discussion about allowing the Nigerian political class to begin to reach out to Nigerians in diaspora, to participate in the political structure of Nigeria. We had a conference where we had all the political parties from APC to PDP to ADC to ES Party to AAA Party and the rest of them. We invited all of them for a conference. First was in Austria, and then followed up with online and the rest of them. And only one political party, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, agreed not only to involve the diasporans in the political process of the political party, but to create the 7th geopolitical zone. As you know, Nigeria is divided into 6 geopolitical zones. The north, the south, the southeast, the west, and the rest of them. And then the diaspora is seen as the 7th geopolitical zone. So which means Nigerians in diaspora can participate directly from the diaspora, at the political process of ADC. And so I was particularly happy that they saw the need to create the such opportunities for Nigerians in diaspora. And so when I finished my term as the chairman of NIDO, they offered me to join the party, which I did. And of course, we need to walk our talk. If we campaign for such opportunity and they asked you to come and join the political party, and you're saying no, then of course you are a hypocrite, so to say. So I agreed because not only because they asked me to come and join, because I felt that their agenda and their policy aligned with my aims and objectives, especially my thinking about Nigeria. So that was what brought me back to Nigeria to join hands with my compatriots in Nigeria to see exactly how we can build the Nigeria we want. I was lucky. I was appointed the National Deputy Chairman of the party in Diaspora Engagement, and then they gave me the platform to run for the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And again, we also believe that with the innovation that we also champion and campaign for, which is actually a part of the diaspora voting, advocacy. We have a renewed or INL reform to allow electronic voting, and the beavers and the rest of them. So they all encouraged us to step into politics, hoping that with technology, we can have a better election. But unfortunately, INEC disappointed everybody, and then the rest is the history. But will that stop us from trying? Stepping out is not an alternative. And so we believe in the political party, and we stood with our philosophies and our ideas. And if you're reading the news currently, a lot of people said, well, you can't make any move if you don't join Labour Party. I said, Labour Party is good, but it doesn't align with my philosophy. They say my state, that state is the PDP state. I said, sorry, um, it still does not align with my philosophy. And they said, if you don't join the ruling party, APC, you are not going to get anywhere. Sometimes it's not really about power. It's not even being about you, holding that position. It's about you being a member of a community that also have a say and then try to change the system. It's you having the opportunity to contribute your quota, to a new Nigeria or want. And then what am I trying to say? Today, it's in the news that even Peter Obi, Atiku, and the rest of them want to come back to ADC, the political party. So the stone that was rejected is now the cornerstone of the building house. So I hope and I pray they do come, because I believe that if they are convinced that their political platform, for whatever reason, has not given them the opportunity, and they are aligned with the vision of ADC, to come together to build a country we want. We see that as a good thing. So the motivation of joining politics is also to walk the talk, and to see that if we feel that certain things are not proper in Nigeria, if most of all, including yourself that have stayed outside here and seen better things, and then we should be able to, to join hands to do that. On investment, again, they say where your mind is, that's or where your treasure is. That's I'm a Nigerian, I'm an African. Like I said, if I am not happy that I can't do a great investment here, then of course I should have the opportunity to go back home, and invest. And fortunately, I'm venturing into the real estate. It's also something that is very dear to me, just like the political parties and the new Nigeria. That throughout my tenure in Nigeria, a lot of us who have stayed here for 10 years or like 15 years from the man from Sweden want to go back home one day. And we don't want to go back home and only stay in a hotel or stay in a family house where you're going to, hear all kind of stories and the rest of them. And so it's an opportunity with the power of the diaspora currency, to have, investments in the real estate, which is also one of the fastest growing areas one can, invest. It is more secure than most businesses. It is less volatile, and then the return on investment, the ROI, is very, very high. And so I will encourage anybody, who wants to invest in Nigeria, to look seriously towards the real estate because of the security it offers, so to say. And so, politics and business go hand in hand. And so that's why going back home, one has to also have a means of livelihood and not to depend like most Nigerian politicians who want to go there and steal money. I want to have an investment that fits me on a daily basis, while I also keep trying my best to contribute to the new Nigeria that we all deserve.
Okay, interesting. So I think it's amazing how you broke down how you got into Nigeria politics, because for me, I think I tried to like research online, okay, how from German politics to Nigerian politics, like two different words coming together. But it also makes sense that you don't only place requests on, oh, we want this to change, we want that to change, but also when given the opportunity to take action, that will also um take the action as well. Um, so I want to into real estate now. is it like a personal investment, or is it like a what's it called, a company? So if I want to get into real estate, can I come to you and say, oh, I want to buy land, I want to buy properties? Because I see you post the estates you're building currently in Asava, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll want us to also talk about that as well. And if someone is watching, I will say, oh, I want to get into real estate in Nigeria. I don't have 10 million naira sitting in my account. I have 1,000 euros, 2,000 euros. How can they reach out to you? And yeah, how do we start from there?
Briefly, like I said, when I was the chairman of the diaspora, we have dreamt of having diaspora city in Abuja, diaspora city in Lagos, diaspora city in most of the major cities in Nigeria. It never worked out for government bureaucracies. So welcome to Nigeria bureaucracies. And because of that, it didn't happen. So when I had the opportunity, to get a small piece of land for my personal, use. I informed some of my friends in the diaspora that, hey, we have this opportunity, that we can leverage on, and the rest of them. And so they really got interested, and then they encouraged me. They said, well, if you can get, for few of us here, why don't you, create an opportunity where every diaspora can, practically come and invest. And so from that, from few pieces of land, we end up having over 60 acres of land, which divided into 50 by 100 feet. So we're talking about 500 plus of land, where people are invited to invest. Now, like you said, you don't need 10 million to do that. You can start with whatever you have. Getting 1 plot, 2 plots, 3 plots, 4 plots. And I can bet you, you can make a research anywhere in the world, especially in Nigeria. The land that you purchase for 3 naira today would definitely not be less than 10 naira in 2, 3, 4 days time. And so it's always appreciating. It's not going down. And so if you have 3, 4, 5 plots of land, and either for personal use or for investment, and decide to to sell it after 1 or 2 years, you can basically sell it the same twice the amount you bought it. And so you cannot decide whether you want to use it to purchase more or to reinvest to get more lands and the rest of them. So you don't need 10 million to start. You can start on a gradual basis. But I must say that our focus is Delta State. And although currently we are collaborating with some companies who have seen the success we have done to focus on diasporas, for the area like River States, Cross River States, Akwa Ibom, and also part of Lagos. So we are in a collaboration with a couple of companies, to offer diasporan, investment opportunities in this state. But our core business is in Delta State.
Okay. Whoa, that was a lot. Thanks for the information. So I don't know if you want to share the prices with us, or if you just say contact you privately and
Well,
because
it ranges from between 5.5 m to 7.5 m currently. But like I said, no matter whatever I say now, in next 4-5 months, it might be a different prices because of the rates the real estate is developing in Nassau area.
okay. So before we close out today's interview, I want you to describe for us in one word, how would you describe the African diaspora future?
The African Union, which is the umbrella organization of all the Africans, formerly of OAU, designated Africans in diaspora as the 6th region. This is because they believe that the Africans in diaspora are the future of Africa in terms of economy, in terms of finance. And the African diaspora is basically one of the biggest diaspora community in the whole world. And so the African diaspora is a very, very unique, rich community, that I believe that having gained all the experiences here, having learned, best international practices, we should gradually be looking back to our various continents so that we can help to uplift the continent rather than complain about the the issues in Africa and expecting some other person to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for taking out time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us and just have a heartfelt conversation. I personally was inspired, personally gained knowledge. There's some stuff I'm just like, okay, first of all, I need to get into real estate as fast as possible. Yeah, I don't know if you want to share your contact details with our guests, if they want to reach out to you. Is there like a website, an email, telephone number?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have an NGO here in Germany, which is still very active. It's called the African German Information Center, AGIC. They can also Google it. And we ran and we are running a couple of projects. And so, yes, I'm actually open for collaboration. Currently, we're running 2 projects. One is the Erasmus project. It's about job shadowing in France and Turkey, where community builders and young organizers can also share ideas how the NGOs are run in the other countries. In the next 20 days, precisely in August, if I'm not mistaken, we'll be taking about 40 kids, 40 young leashes from Germany to France. We're going to be talking about digital proficiency in modern times, so to say. And so anybody can reach me through these NGOs. And then of course Nigeria, the diaspora city is in Asaba Delta State. If we go to diaspora city, Delta State Asaba, I think they should be able to have all the contacts they need to have.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and listening. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, the link to this website will be in the description box below. So please make sure to check it out. And we'll see you guys on another episode. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for having me.